Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Dreams Unlimited Travel Podcast. My name is John Magi, and I'll be your host. And in this episode, we're going to be answering some of your questions that are specifically cruise-related. I'm joined at the table by our panel of experts, Client Services Manager for Dreams Unlimited Travel, Kevin Close.
Bon voyage, everybody.
Agent Consultant for Dreams Unlimited Travel, Tracy Heinrichs.
Hi, everyone. I had nothing of that.
You have no tagline?
No.
Back in our production facility, we have our producer, Craig Williams.
Ahoy.
Tracy failed.
I failed. Epic fail.
You could have done like Anchors Away.
I could have done that. Or I could have just said, just eat it.
So, as I mentioned, we have, I've gathered up some cruise-related questions. I thought we'd try to get questions sort of in a theme for this show. They came in to us through Facebook, Twitter, and email. So if you have questions we're not answering specifically on our shows, please send them. I collect them, I keep them, and then we try to do a show when we have enough that we feel would make a decent show. So let's get started with question number one. Where is the Where is the best place to stay on the ship so that my family feels the least motion? I don't know that this is specific to a cruise line. I mean, I don't know, we're not looking to tell you exactly where to stay on, say, a Disney ship, but there are
Think of the ship
generalities.
as a seesaw. If you look at a playground seesaw, the center of the seesaw moves the least. The ends go up and down. And the lower you are on the ship, the less you feel the motion. Lower and center.
Correct.
That's going to be the least motion.
Yep. And then the issue becomes lower means you're not on a balcony. So you have to think about if that's important, and then there's a hole.
Right.
I will say this. Chris has motion sickness issues. So we try to, as long as we're not right at the very end, if we're about, usually, typically there's aft elevators. We like the aft area of the ship. There's aft elevators. If we're around that area, he tends to be okay. He also is okay when he's in bed laying down. So when people ask about motion and where do I feel the least amount of motion, think about you're only talking when you're in your stateroom. So if you're in the restaurants, you're in the theaters, that's where you're going to get your most motion because they're always at the extremes of the ship. So it's all relative. I mean, I think sometimes people put a lot of stock into this.
Yes.
And when it comes down to, like, I talk to Chris about this all the time, and he says, it doesn't matter a whole lot because I'm fine when I'm in bed laying down.
Yeah.
I don't
acts
have
as a
motion
cradle.
issues.
Yeah. I really enjoy being very close to like the stairwells. So I enjoy that as much as possible. But when I am sleeping, I want to be either at the very front or the very back because I love the motion. I don't get sick at all, but it just puts me to sleep like nothing else.
I am lucky. I don't have this issue. Yeah. I never have. If that's the hardcore, lower and center.
Keep in mind, too, you're dealing with ocean liners. You're not dealing with a rowboat. So as these ships get bigger and bigger, there's less chance of feeling motion at all. Excuse me. I feel like when you go on something like the Oasis or the Allure for Royal Caribbean, I feel no motion at all.
Sometimes you think, are we moving?
Yeah, the only time on the Oasis was the last podcast cruise on the day that we had terrible weather right at the end. That's the only time on that size of a ship that I've ever felt any motion at all.
And typically going out of Florida, I know Chris always has issues the first night and the last night.
That's because you have to cross the Gulf Stream.
Yeah, when you're crossing. Once we're there, it's okay, and that's why he continues to cruise. On our recent Alaska cruise, there was a little bit of issue the first day, again, for that same reason.
Right.
But again, it's the stateroom. So there's a lot of factors that go into your stateroom. We've talked about it before. You have to decide what's most important because not always do we get all of those things in perfect sync.
Right. I just feel like I think people think they're going to just feel constant motion on a ship, and I don't think that's the case at all.
Right.
Unless you have an inner ear
No,
problem.
and we've been on ships that were really moving, but it's usually short-lived.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right, question number 2. When is the least expensive time to sail? When you want to go. No, when you don't want to go. Shoot, I screwed that up. When you can't go is the least expensive time to sail. And I say that facetiously for some part of it, but it's kind of true.
It kind of is true. The least expensive time to sail is when not a lot of people want to sail.
Yep.
It's supply and demand. That's what it's about. So summer months when the kids are out of school, not going to be the least expensive time to sail.
Thanksgiving weekend, Christmas.
Yeah.
Right. So anytime around a holiday is always expensive.
Easter, spring break.
And this is true across cruise lines. Of course, it's proportionate. Disney will tend to be a little bit more expensive than other cruise lines, sometimes a lot more. So it's proportionate. I think Disney may be slightly more affected by school schedules and holidays than some other cruise lines. But
Because of their kid
yeah,
population.
exactly. But generally speaking, it's those times. So you want to, if you don't have to go in the summer, then don't. Also, times when there's traditionally bad weather tends to be cheaper. So, hurricane season.
As an adult traveler, I have learned that some of my favorite times to travel are May and October. Usually, even if you're going to some place that experiences colder weather, it's less likely to be extreme. I mean, you can run into anything. Usually prices are lower. It's the shoulder season for a lot of places, traveling to Europe, cruises. I find May and October, as an adult, I do not have to worry about just
Right.
children in school.
Yep. January can be often a good time. After Christmas stuff, people aren't thinking of, of really, traveling often. And keep in mind, again, it could be a weather issue. So depending on where you're going, if you're just going to the Bahamas in January, there's a chance it's going to be cool. So you think about Florida weather in January, you see very similar weather in the Bahamas.
Yeah, and Castaway Key is not fun when it's only like 65 degrees outside. It
And
is
windy.
very cold.
Yeah, they haven't figured out how to heat the ocean there yet.
We can talk about Alani.
Yeah.
We have found that there's a difference in water temperature. The weather, the
Air
climate
temperature, yeah.
is the same, but the water temperature is different between February and May. And we have found that we like warm water.
Yeah.
And then again, it depends also on your destination. We talked about Alaska on a previous
Right.
cruise. That has a shoulder season.
Yep.
So, there's going to be these times
Yep.
where it's least expensive, again, because they're not the most popular
Right.
times to go.
And again, if you are working with an agent, when you are working with an agent, it's important to kind of know things. It's really hard when somebody comes to me and they says, "I can go anytime. Just tell me when the best time to go is." I can't do that. Like, it's not like I have a massive calendar that tells me, okay, this week, this week, and this week. I only know by searching each individual sailing and date. There's no mass way for me to do that. So we need a starting point.
And if you're
We
talking
need to know.
about sailing in Europe, keep in mind that although you have spring or July and August off, it's very common for Europeans to take either of those months off, especially August. So you might run into things that are closed, sites or tourist spots that are
Right.
closed because of Europe on holiday.
Let's say historically, what is the absolute cheapest time? Do you think January is the
I
cheapest
think
time?
January is up there, September. Often early December, kind of the time after Thanksgiving into early December can be. I think those are the ones that come to mind the
Right,
most,
the most
with some
people.
exceptions in between.
Like if January and February, you want to avoid the holidays.
Yep.
That are in
And you
there,
want to, you think spring breaks, everybody says, well, when is spring break this year? I get asked that a lot. That varies from state to state, county to county, country
It
to
didn't
country.
used to. When
Yeah,
I
it
was in
does
school
now.
100 years ago, everybody had spring break. Now, spring break rolls.
It can be anywhere from mid-February to almost mid-May, depending on how the school calendar works.
You also have to deal with the northern schools, which have President's Week, and they also have winter break. So those things can affect
And New Jersey has New Jersey Teacher Week,
Teacher Week.
where all the schools close
Yes.
in New Jersey,
Yeah,
and
and
they
it's-
all come to Walt Disney
Yes,
World.
it's become Jersey Week at Disney
Jersey
World,
Week,
the
yeah.
unofficial holiday of Disney World.
And even people in New Jersey, we
Yeah.
refer to as Jersey Week too. So.
So if I had to pick times a year, I would probably pick around, like, those are the ones that come to mind the most.
If you're booking for September or October, August, September, or October, you should book trip insurance.
Leads us to our next question. When is the best time to add trip insurance to my cruise reservation? So I assume the person's asking, should I just add it right when I book right away, or should I wait?
So the thing is with insurance is that it hasn't kicked in until you pay for it. So keep that in mind. So we can add it to your cruise when you first book, and then you pay for it with final payment. Disney Cruise Line has recently changed, and actually all the cruise lines will do this, where you can actually pay for the insurance at the time of booking, and then it kicks in right away. But keep in mind, it's non-refundable once you pay for it.
Right. It's like any other insurance. We've said this
Right.
on other shows. It's like your house insurance. You can't say, "Oh, I'm not going to use it, so I want my money back."
Right.
But as
You know,
long,
you
in
paid
my
it, it's your
opinion,
insurance.
as long as with a cruise line, as long as you're in full refund, I don't see a reason to book travel insurance.
It also, I think, might depend on the deposit amount. Right? If you go into on a cruise that has a high deposit amount for some reason.
Yeah, but your deposit is refundable up to a certain point.
Oh, yeah. That's,
Yeah, so if it's non-refundable, so in the case of like suites, Royal Caribbean has come out with a non-refundable program. So if it's a non-refundable, then I think definitely earlier is
I would
better.
agree.
But if you're looking at a refundable deposit, you can get into a whole issue with pre-existing conditions and stuff, but we're not going to go there.
Yeah, really, we've done that already.
Diabetes.
There are still bruises.
But you want to keep in mind that we can add it at any point in the process. If you don't want it to be active, you pay for it with final payment. So we can add and remove it as long as it's not been paid for. Once final payment's been made, insurance can no longer be added.
I just want to add that an aside. We're not making fun of people with diabetes.
No.
We have a past experience talking about travel insurance where the word diabetes came up about 300 times.
So it's really a dig at me because
I just don't want anyone to think
Got
that
caught
we
in that
laughed
one.
at the word
Right.
diabetes.
Excellent. All right. So we've done that to death. I mean, trip insurance is another weird topic that we can go on
It
forever.
doesn't have to do with cruise line, but there's a new policy with Adventures by Disney and travel insurance. So if you're interested in finding out what that is or need more information, you can write to me.
I got to tell you, travel insurance, I think, is the bane of everyone's existence sometimes.
it's such a necessity. Like I can't tell you
Yeah.
enough how much I agree with that. You should have it if you're taking a trip.
Yeah.
But it's such a difficult thing on our end to properly explain because we're limited to what we can say about
Exactly.
it, what it covers, what it doesn't. And then from the point of view of the client, trying to get information about it.
You feel like you're hiding something, but I actually come out and tell people, listen, I cannot quote what it will and will not cover. I am not
Exactly.
an insurance adjuster or an insurance company.
Right. We just,
I give them the phone number of the insurance company that we're working with, or I tell them where they can go to look at other insurance policies. And because so much of it is dependent on very personal information, that you should discuss that with the insurance company itself.
Exactly. All right, moving on. Our next question. Can you explain my time dining on Royal Caribbean and how it works?
yes, I can.
Excellent.
Next question.
Next question.
as interesting as it is, we always take my time dining, but it doesn't affect us. It doesn't.
Right.
We don't.
because
Doesn't bother
you're in suites or you're doing specialty dining or both. So that's
I don't understand. No one does that.
yeah, I know.
Not everyone does
it's
that.
true. It's true. Strange as it is. So with my time dining, basically what it is, and I think the people that have the most difficulty with this are our Disney Cruise Line clients who are switching to another cruise line or trying another cruise line because it's such a foreign concept to the Disney concept
Disney
of
Cruise Line
dining.
eats with military precision.
Right. Disney dining is an event. And other cruise lines, sometimes, like I say this all the time, like sometimes eating is just eating. Like sometimes I just want to eat.
Exactly.
So with my time dining, how it works is with other cruise lines, most will still have traditional dining times. So they'll still have your first and your late seating. My time is a third option. It's a separate area of the same dining room, usually a floor. I'm noticing on some ships it's becoming 2 floors. It's becoming more popular. So what that means is you are not set at an early or late dining time. So you don't have a set appointment for dining every night. With my time dining, you can choose, and there's different ways you can choose. So you can choose in advance, or you can do in part of your cruise planner and your online check-in. You can decide each night what time you're going to eat based on the schedule or based when you want to eat. Our problem is always early might be 5:30 and late maybe 8:15, but I like to eat at 6:30. So I may still go in and book every night the same time, but it's at a time that works for me. So you can do that or book different times each night, whatever you want to do. Or once you're on the ship, you can book for the entire week if you want, or day by day in advance for that date. Or the third option is just to show up at the restaurant, the My Time Dining restaurant, when you're ready to eat. When you do that, it's like going to any restaurant. You'll wait for the next available table. There may be a longer wait or a shorter wait, depending on when you go. We notice if you go a little bit earlier, it tends to be a less wait. Usually that 6:30 to 7:30 time tends to be busiest.
That's one of the things I've noticed quite a bit is the people who get upset, who are saying, "Well, I booked my time dining. Why do I have to wait for a table?" Well, you've got to wait for a table.
Right.
or a server or something like that. You
Right.
can't just. It's not just that it's a buffet and you can go and
Right.
sit anywhere. It's actually a server has to come.
And what
in.
you want to know about my time as well, sorry, Craig,
No.
is you want to know that you may or may not have the same table and serving team every night. Sometimes when you're on my time and you have a regular schedule, they will try to do that for you. I can say for us, for whatever reason, it never works out that way. We seem to be at a different table, different location, whatever. It doesn't matter to
So
me.
you're
I
not
know
gonna
that
get
going
thing
in.
where your server knows what you want to drink or what your preferences
And so
are.
if that's important to you, that relationship with your server, and for some people it is, or you'd like to know that when you sit down, he already knows what you want to drink, then it might not be for you. So you want to know that. You want to know, you can choose whether you want your own table or to be seated with other people when you're doing my time dining. You can even choose that daily if you want. So you probably won't have the same table mates every night. Although I have heard of cases where on that first night, table melds, they like together, hey, let's just book this table for the rest of the week. And they go ahead and do that. It just gives you a level of flexibility that really works for me and the way I like to cruise.
One of the things that I like, I want to go to Craig next, but one of the things I like about it is it also leaves you the flexibility of what's going on the ship.
Right.
You know, if you're at a port a little bit later that day, you might want to eat a little bit later.
Right.
So, you know, you're not locked into that.
I also think it's great for people. I'm not hungry. I can't promise you I'm going to be hungry at 5:30.
Right.
And I find as I get older, eating at 8:30 is kind of late. I also travel with people who are older than me, and eating that late is difficult. But we're also, when we travel, it's like, if we didn't get into a dining room or a specialty restaurant, we can go to the buffet or go get
Exactly.
a burger or...
Yeah, hang out somewhere.
Right.
Craig, what do you want to say?
I was just gonna say I'm in the mode of with any time dining, my time dining. I am a sole proponent of never book a time for it. The obvious benefit is when you walk up, if you see that there's a line right away, you can just walk away and be like, okay, well, I'll check back in maybe 15, 20 minutes, see if there's still a line, instead of being booked at your time and then you're standing there waiting and waiting and waiting. And like, I had to talk my sister down off a ledge when we were on Princess for the very first night. Like, well, we need to make a reservation. It's like, no, you don't. It's because she's only cruised Disney, so she's used to those time structures.
is kinda rigid.
I'm like, no, you don't. Let's just relax. Let's enjoy it. And the other thing that I would point out too, I know it's just itinerary based, but when you really start to see it is on an itinerary like Alaska, where on Disney, depending on how long you're in the ports on some of those days, you can miss out. Like if you have to be back on the ship at 5:00 for your first seating, you might miss it. Even at 8:30 with some of the stops that we had, we would have had to come back on when we still had time to go out and explore. And that's where anytime my time dining just benefits is you don't have to miss out on anything because of it. I love when I'm with my wife and we get dressed up for dinner and we go out and we do that whole structure. But you know, that's different. If I'm on the go, I want to just be able to enjoy.
What was the
what I
last cruise we were on? What was the last Royal cruise we were on?
You did the
The
Oasis.
Oasis in February.
Do you remember the hysteria around dinner time?
Yes.
People, before the dining room would open up, they were lined up all the way into
Oh, yeah.
the promenade.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what are you guys doing? Well, it's going to be dinner time. You do know you can wait like 20 minutes, you know? And then
Now, when
let
they do open the dining room, there is a horde of people.
Yeah.
And
I
that's
was
not even the
shocked.
my time folks.
No. This is the first. It happens on every ship I've ever been on. And
It
everybody
seemed more
gathers out there and they
pronounced.
wait for the doors to be open. And it's like, you've got a table, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I get annoyed with people who show up a half hour late. But if I know the doors are opening at 5:30, I'm going to leave my stateroom and kind of walk down towards there at 5:30. So when I get there, the doors are
For
open.
some reason, this cruise, it seemed like they were much angrier. We ran into a lot of people who were very angry about it. And I thought, what is,
They
there's
were
food
hangry.
everywhere.
They were hangry.
They were
Just so
angry.
we've talked a lot about river cruising. On a river cruise, there is one dining room, and dinner is at 7:00. You don't have to go to dinner, but that means you don't eat.
Right, exactly. You can still get stuff around the ship sometimes. And
If you
It's,
want dinner,
if you want
let's
dinner.
use the word dinner.
Yeah.
You go to the dining room at 7:00. However, it seems it's a little more genteel than it was on the it was like, oh my gosh, they might not have dinner tonight. We better get there early or they're going to run out.
It's my dinner and I need it now.
Right.
It was crazy. All right, our next question. Do other cruise lines besides Disney have fireworks? For those who don't know, Disney Cruise Line is the only ship at sea that I know of that has a license to shoot fireworks from their cruise
the only
ship.
cruise line. That's as far as I know as well.
Have you ever been on a Disney cruise where you see other ships parked around?
Yes, that was what I was going to say.
Almost everyone. Yeah. Oh, yeah, they have fireworks. It's just going off the Disney ship.
Kathleen, my assistant Kathleen, is on a cruise this week with her kids, and she goes, "What do you think they'll do? Will they shoot fireworks?" I said, "No, they're going to pull up next to a Disney ship."
That's right.
She's on a Royal
They're
Caribbean
actually
cruise.
leaving today, so they will be away for 4th of July.
Yeah.
Do you think we'll see fireworks? Yes, but they'll come off a Disney ship.
And it's very cool. It's a very cool thing, and they do it for the parties and stuff, and it's awesome. But yeah, Disney is the only ship that has it, that they are allowed to
So if you
do
want to
it.
see fireworks on your cruise, no matter what cruise you do, make sure the itinerary matches up with the Disney cruise somehow.
Our next question. Disney Cruise Line used to have what they called LandSea Cruises. Do they still have these? And if not, how can I book the same thing?
So technically, yes and no. So the old reincarnation or the old incarnation, thank you. Not a because then it would be a new. Gotcha. So the old incarnation of this was very rigid. So you would say at these resorts, and then you would get this category, and it was all done in one price.
And it was 3 days on land and 4 days
Right.
at sea, or 4 days on land and
yes,
3 days
there
at
was
sea.
no moving from that.
Right.
So they did away with that and kind of had nothing. And now they're going back to it a little bit. But I would tell you, don't even worry about this land sea thing, what they're doing. If you want to go to Disney and a cruise, we can figure that out.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
we can then book the cruise that you want, whether it's 3, 4, 5, or 7 nights. We can then book the length of stay at Disney that you want. We book them separate. I know with Disney Cruise Line, you can add resort rooms. And if it's just one night, pre or post cruise, sometimes we'll just do it through the cruise line. It's nice and simple. But as soon as you get into a stay at World, where it's a little bit longer, maybe you want some tickets and some dining, you want to actually have 2 things going on, we're best to book that direct with Disney. That way, if there are any discounts or promotions or specials, we can get it for that part of the trip, and it's separate from what cruise line is doing.
In cruise line, I would suggest you book the cruise first, because we can fit you in better at Walt Disney World.
Yeah, and the cruises book way farther in advance usually.
Right.
So unless you're booking last minute, don't wait until you can book. You wouldn't wait to book your 2019 package and wait for your cruise at that point.
Right.
If you were doing that, your cruise should have already been booked.
Chances are we're going to be able to get you a room at World
Yeah.
rather than. I'm repeating myself, but book the cruise first.
Right.
Book the cruise when you can.
I think you said this, but wasn't it true that we were running into when there was a LandSea package, let's say they did release free dining or something, it couldn't be done?
Right.
Right,
Couldn't
yeah.
add it
A
to the
land and
land
sea package, you couldn't do any discounts that were being done at Disney World.
Right.
So they were 2 separate things. Like Disney, it's weird with Disney, but every little division is its own company.
It is. It's lots of little countries.
Yeah.
Well, the other
within
thing
a
too
border.
is there was availability weirdness because Disney Cruise Line was holding certain rooms
Right.
for the LandSea,
Right.
But then they would say, okay, no, you can't stay at I'll make
Exactly.
something up.
That's exactly
Port
true.
Orleans French Quarter. But you would go to the regular inventory and those rooms would be there. And
Right.
people would be like, well, I don't
Because
understand.
their package was put together that if you could stay at a moderate hotel and be in category 5, 6, or 7. You could stay at a value hotel and be in an inside. So they assumed if you were a value resort at Disney that you were an inside person on the cruise. So there was a lot of assumptions being made, and I think it was because they were buying room space
Yep.
from Disney that was very specific.
grouping out
And they
the
still
rooms.
do that a little bit. So if you wanted to add a pre or post night through Cruise Line, they don't have all room types available either. So you're typically looking at standard rooms at that point. So
Always better. Do it separate.
yeah, that's
We
what
can
I
put
say.
it together for you. We can modify it. I'm also going to extrapolate this out to Royal Caribbean and Universal.
Ugh, don't.
Well, the good news is we do have a few agents who really do this and specialize in it. So if it's something you're interested in, I can get you to those agents. Royal Caribbean and Universal, do they still have those packages?
They do, and that's why I say don't, because it's such a nightmare. These
Yeah.
packages are a nightmare. There's still so many quirks and kinks between Universal and Royal Caribbean that you think of Universal on its own, the fact that the resorts aren't owned by the same people who are doing the parks, and then you add a cruise line into that as well.
That's a
So there's
completely different company.
right. So it's so difficult to figure out who should be responsible for what and what's all included. So it's not to say that doing a Royal Caribbean cruise and a Universal isn't a great idea. It's a great vacation. But again, it may be something we look at separately as they're ironing out the kinks of what this
I was
package
going
is
to say,
going to look
absolutely,
like.
positively, we look at it separate. I'm going to tell you that right away. We never sell the LandSea
But you also
package.
can do one from category A and one from category B. You can do a Disney cruise and a Universal stay.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah, with Universal, with theirs, I know it's been 4 years since I did it, but the big issue was the communication between Universal and Royal Caribbean, and that can be very stressful. So if you are easygoing and you're okay with maybe that, like not exactly knowing what time am I going to get picked up. Well, generally they pick people up at noon. Okay, I guess I'm fine with that. If you're that person who needs that, I need to know where exactly I need to stand at what time and when they're going to get me, then it's probably not the right way. But if you're easygoing, could be.
Book them separately.
Yeah. Again,
And I understand they've worked on it a little bit.
Yeah.
So, but I have to tell you, as agents, we've had a lot of issues with those packages because we need to have things pretty firm to go to our clients with. So it's not that we still can't do it. And like Kevin said, between Royal Caribbean, other cruise lines, Disney Cruise Line, Universal, Walt Disney World, we can put together whatever vacation you want.
we specifically
With far more
Flexibility.
elasticity.
Yeah.
We specifically have agents who do this quite a bit.
Yeah.
Who do Royal Caribbean, Universal, combined stays, not in a package, but they'll put it together for you, and they're
Yep.
very good at it. So that does help you. All right, moving on to our next question. Royal Caribbean seems a lot cheaper than Disney and goes to most of the same places, but I've read that they charge you for every little extra. Is it cheaper to book a Royal Caribbean cruise even after you pay the extra charges?
Could be, maybe, sometimes.
Yeah.
It's so hard to say because a lot of these extra charges are such a personal thing. Not everybody's going to pay the extra. So a lot of the extras are for things that maybe everybody wouldn't pay for. So, if you're an adult couple, you're not going to pay for Kids Club after 9 o'clock. So that's irrelevant to you.
A big thing is, a lot of people point to the soda. Well, soda's
Yeah.
free on Disney, but I have to buy a soda package or pay individually in Royal Caribbean. You got to think to yourself, how much soda can you drink? How
Right.
much soda is your family going to
And
drink?
even if you think, if the soda is important to you and you add the package, you can add that into your price. I can tell you there's some times where for a family, when you start to consider all the extras, the gap narrows and they decide it's not worth it for them to go from what they know and love, which is Disney. It's often based on the ages of their kids at the time, what else is being offered, what's being done. There's a lot of people who are still hesitant to jump ship and try something new, and I get that the gap can be narrowed when they start to think of all the extras. Now, there's benefits to some of these extras on Royal Caribbean. You can get a beverage package. You can get a drink package for alcohol, whereas with Disney, you can't. Disney has a wine package, that you could do for dinner. They have some kind of a beer thing where you can get a mug and get reduced refills.
Yeah.
But that I wouldn't call a package.
No.
So for some people, that's a benefit. The fact that they can get, I'm finding as I'm doing other cruise lines, internet packages are important to me. Internet packages tend to be a little bit better on cruise lines outside of Disney. So there's little extras. Sometimes there's extras that you're paying for that are
I hear-
good value.
I apologize. I didn't mean to interrupt you. I hear about the extra dining options.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you have to pay for them. Well, you do that on Disney too.
Yeah.
There are fewer of them, but if you want to go to Palo or Remy, you pay.
And I think what happens on Disney as well is, we had mentioned before, the dining room is an event. Their dining is an event. They do dining well for the most part. There's some exceptions, of course. You might get some service issues or some food quality issues, but for the most part, they're doing dining well. I do find on other cruise lines, the main dining room is not the same quality and level as a Disney dining room. So there might be extra charges to do specialty that you wouldn't have on Disney because I find that you have to pay for specialty to get a similar quality to what main dining is on Disney. So you may find that, but that's also not true for everybody. For some people, what is being served in the main dining room is more than fine. So they don't have to pay for the specialties.
It can come to just preference.
Right.
Sometimes it's, if I like the food, I'm not really noticing the fact that it might be of a lower quality because it's what I want at the right time. So you can kind of narrow that gap. But
One of the things that people get hung up on is that, well, Royal Caribbean just has one dining room, where Disney has 3 dining rooms. And what you want to explain to them is, yeah, physically that's true of the space, but it's not like you're eating the same menu, the same food every night.
Right.
Is that Disney has perfected this rotational dining,
Right.
where the dining room is part of the experience.
But again, you're limited to 2 times, early or late seating.
Right.
And,
so, you have to sort of, it takes some explanation of how to get
It
around
does.
those
And I
issues.
think if you're new to cruising especially, it's hard to imagine with one restaurant. They're thinking of it as a restaurant where one restaurant has one menu.
Right.
And they're not realizing that every night is a new menu. I mean, there's some staples that will be consistent throughout the menu, but there's some variety and some change.
Now,
So
I
that's
would
only
also-
the space you're eating in.
I would tell you that on the Royal Caribbean ships, most of the time, the menu that is being served in the dining room is available upstairs at the buffet.
Often, yeah.
So if that's if you are I want to eat in my shorts and t-shirt kind of guy, you can get a lot of the main dining room food upstairs with no line, no hassle, no dressing up, just eat.
And I'll say that with Disney, I talk about the main dining room and the elevated level of food. The main reason I like other cruise lines is because of dining. Disney is just too restrictive, too regimented, too schedule based, and it just doesn't work for me.
Do you know what bothers me about Disney dining? That, first of all, it's an event. You said it. I don't always want to take that long. And the other thing is that it's all those people at the same time. Mm-hmm. I find that sometimes it's a little unnerving. Those dining rooms can be a little tight. I like to, as I said, if we went to the main dining room and it was crowded, we are at a point where it's like, do you want to go get pizza in the promenade? Do you want to go order room service? Do you want to see if we can get into a specialty restaurant? We are way more flexible
Right.
about dining, and I like that. I am not good about you have to eat at 5:30 or 8:30.
I like that there's different places for me to eat. So I can have specialty tonight. I can go to the main dining tomorrow night. For at least 2 or 3 nights on a cruise, I'm probably just going to the buffet for dinner. I don't have that flexibility with Disney. I don't have the flexibility with Disney to eat when I want to eat. If you miss certain very restrictive hours, even during the day, you're restricted to only a few choices. And I know many people love that, and I don't mean to diminish that.
No, absolutely, yeah.
But for
People
me,
like part of cruising.
that doesn't work. So the flexibility of dining is probably the biggest thing that pushes me to other cruise lines.
Just to come back around on the upcharge aspect of it, in terms of like Royal Caribbean specifically, I just want to say, like, as a young person, a younger couple that does enjoy drinking on cruises, I have had cruises, and I don't over drink, so I don't want people to think that I'm pounding back 22 drinks a day on average or
This
anything
is what he
like
says
that.
at his meetings every week.
It's not like that.
Hi, I'm Craig.
I'm not one of those people that is like you're worried about them falling overboard. But we do like to go out and socially drink on cruises. A big benefit of Royal Caribbean, especially when you get those drink packages, is I've had times where for a 7-night cruise with the drink package, I've spent less than a 3-night cruise on Disney in what I end up paying for drinks, especially if I'm with Corey, because he's just a bad influence. But that says a lot when you can have it all paid for up front before you leave for 7 nights. And that's cheaper than what you could end up on a 3, 4,
Drinks
or
are
7.
also very expensive on cruise ships.
Yes.
They are.
Like very, very limited occasions, we'll have a drink, and it'll be like a specialty drink, and it's like $13 or $16, and you think, okay, this is insane. So there's always that ability to really overspend if you don't have a drink package.
I also want to talk about the soda package. It's something I get on every cruise. I understand that soda is free on the Disney ship, but it's free on deck 9
And in the restaurants.
and in the restaurants.
Yeah.
However, if you're walking around the ship, unless you want to walk back to that soda station near the pool and get a Dixie cup of soda, if I pay for my soda, I can go to any bar on a Royal Caribbean ship and they'll give me a soda. I just show them my card with the little sticker on it. I don't have to bring that the
Luck
cup
with
with
you,
me.
right.
The other thing is on the Royal Caribbean ship, when you do that soda package, you have access to the what do they call those specialty drink
Freestyle machine.
freestyle machines. That was the word, I couldn't think of it. There's a couple of them all over the ship, so your options are a little better. I don't like having to have one particular place that I have to go to on a ship in order to get a drink. I like to be able to do it wherever I am.
Yep, you have to really do your research and figure out what's going to be the price difference for you and what you want and what you want included in it, and then figure it out from
And
there.
I don't want. There are times when the gap is really, really big,
Yeah.
and then there's times when it's not.
Right.
So
We find the
it's
way
not
we find
one
when
rule.
we travel, we always do better on Royal. Just happens to be how we like to travel and what we like to do.
The other thing is
But-
that you and I enjoy a casino.
No, absolutely.
So that's a big
a big
big
difference.
differentiation.
All right, moving on. Question number 8, I think we're on. When will I be able to book Disney's new ships? Do you know what itineraries they will be doing and or where they are sailing from? We know all of that information, but we refuse to share it with any of you. We don't know. We don't know. We do know information just came out actually recently for recording this that Port Canaveral is going to be expanding.
Yep.
And so one of the Disney ships will be out of Port Canaveral.
They're
One of
actually
the
building a new
ships.
terminal.
Yep, they're expanding. I think the one that Royal goes to now is what they're doing, 8 or 6 or 10. I don't know. It's some number. And so there'll be 2 ships at Port Canaveral often.
I would be surprised if it's not 2 new ones.
You think they'll have 2 new ones and then move either the Dream
I think
Fantasy?
because they put the Dream of Fantasy there when they were new.
Yeah.
And those are the revenue making itineraries, the 3 and 4 night Bahamas and the 7 night Caribbean. Those are the money makers. So I think they're going to put their newest
Bigger.
ships, newer, bigger ships in that market, close to Disney World. In my opinion, that's what you're going to see
But I think you're going to see 3 ships.
eventually. But I would be interested to see if there will be 3 ships going out of there, or if one of the newer ships is going to be to service a different market. Disney doesn't have a ship on a regular basis
No, I
in
mean,
Asia.
there'll be 3 ships.
I was just going to say, I think one of the
Oh,
new ships will go to Asia.
Yeah, I think 3 ships, meaning one of the older ships,
Oh,
one of the
yeah.
classic.
And I
ships
think
will
what
be-
happens is the older ships will kind of come in and around other seasons.
Kind of like what they're doing now.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're
Maybe they'll
popping in
port
and
permanently one of the ships on the West Coast, with because it does Alaska through.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they're moving ships. I think you'll see the Dream of Fantasy is still a fairly decent sized ship, so
Yep.
they're still going to be limited to where they can go and what they can do with those ships.
I would not be surprised when that one doesn't service the Asian market,
Yeah,
I would
the
s-
Asian ports.
Other cruise lines are putting permanent ships in that area.
There's
so,
Disney now. They could
Yeah, they have Disney parks that they can.
right. I think having a ship near the Disney parks, like you just said, the 2 ships near Disney World. I think a lot of people go back and forth. So I think having one in the Asian markets that could service the Asian parks.
you'll see dedicated ones that are going into Europe and doing Mediterranean cruises, and those specialty cruises, fjord cruises and things like that are super popular. So they'll continue those. We don't know. We just don't know. We know when they're expected to be delivered and produced.
It's
but
going
who
to be a
knows
long
when we-
time before we can book.
Yeah.
And in typical Disney style, it'll be the last possible hour. We'll have minimal notice. Many of us have already started our therapy to prepare for the new
It's
ships. come.
11:35 now. You can book at 11:38.
Right. So, I mean, at this point, if it follows similar schedule, if you're looking at the first ship coming in 2021, it would probably be sometime in 2020. I mean, that's about as specific as we could be at this point.
Yeah. And again, itineraries.
But we do
will-
have pricing.
Yeah, we do have pricing. But again, itineraries will be, are a question mark, but we can speculate and guess all we want. I think there's some logic to where these ships will go. All right.
Well, there's also seasons. I apologize. You can't do Alaska in the winter.
Right, exactly.
You can't do Europe in the winter.
Then
Is
they
far
do the
less
Mexican
hospitable.
Riviera out
Right.
of, LA and all that stuff. So they'll figure it out and they'll get your money somehow. Don't worry about it. All right, our next question. You did a show about bringing your dogs on vacation. Can I bring my dog on a cruise? Is there any cruise line that allows pets? Except for service animals. The answer is no, with one exception.
He's very excited.
I'm very excited about
Very
this.
He did
excited.
research.
He did.
I did research on this. I was very excited to find this. One cruise line, Cunard, allows dogs and cats, but no birds, on certain transatlantic cruises on the Queen Mary 2. There's a lot of restrictions. It's only possible on transatlantic voyages that do not have any ports of call. The dog.
So it's their freight department.
well,
So if you're
listen,
moving from the United States to Europe in 1890,
that's pretty much
you
it.
can bring your dog.
You know, you and Maggie Smith traveling together on Queen Mary 2. The dog, there's a kennel. The kennels are very popular, so they fill up. The thing is that the pets have to stay in the kennel. So it's not like you can have the dog or
I'm
the
out.
cat. Right, exactly. So this isn't a pleasure
I
cruise.
stay in the
Yes,
kennel
like is
with
there
the
room for
dogs?
me in the kennel?
Probably.
Me and the dog.
So, you know, they get a lot of cool stuff. There is, let me read this part. I think this is great.
They get a lanyard.
No, there's a full-time kennel master who's responsible for the kennels.
You sound more excited about that than I would be.
I'm very excited. They are air conditioned, and there's a lot of perks involved. Let's see, there's an extra comfortable pet beds. There
I
are,
wonder who decided that.
someone tried, the kennel master tried them all out. Healthy gourmet cookies for dogs and cats, baked fresh daily, fleece blankets, toys, cat posts and scratchers, and selection of premium pet foods from top brands. So I think you joked about it, but I think you hit the nail on the head. This is if someone is moving,
Or going for the season.
going for the season and going to stay with their
Again.
pet.
It's 1890.
Well, I'm picturing the kennel master as like a magician with a cape and welcome to
With
my
a big
kennel.
handlebar mustache.
Yes,
I built you a
exactly.
great kennel, Rose.
We say all the time we would love, love, love to take our Finn to Hawaii. Be able to walk Hawaii and run the beach. But I would never in a million years fly with him because
Do you know the quarantine rules? And
yeah,
all
well
that?
that's just it. Exactly.
You have to know 6 months in advance and send Finn ahead of you.
Yeah. And it's like the logistics are just not there. It's never going to happen. But I also wouldn't fly with him to Orlando. So it's just
But I
not
think,
going to happen.
again, this is not, you're not traveling with your pet. You're not having your cat curl up in your lap at night while you're on a cruise.
Right.
This is, they're gonna
And
be-
you have to be going transatlantic
with no stops.
with no stops.
So it's not even like there are stops, but you won't take your dog out on the stops. There can literally be no stops.
Part of that is because of custom regulations
Right, of
and
course.
health and things like that. So, that makes sense.
I'm
But
thinking
I was-
that's a niche
Can you
market.
imagine by the end of the 13th day how the kennel master smells?
From trying out those extra comfortable beds and
Why
baking
he's a
cookies
magician.
Oh, sorry. That's
with a
right.
big handlebar mustache.
All right. Moving on. This will be our final question for this show.
Because clearly we've gotten silly and we can't handle
gotten silly.
anymore.
I'm picturing Maggie Smith with my dog. I do that.
And
like that.
interesting, no birds. Why do you think no birds?
Birds smell terribly.
And how they can't fly.
Craig.
Well, you can put a
Email
bird
Craig.
in a kennel. In a cage. You put a bird in a cage, right?
It don't seem right. I don't know. Seems
All right.
weird.
So that's weird. All right. So our
Who
final.
travels with their bird?
Tanya Harding's mother. She always travels with her. Our final question for this episode. I am going on my first cruise this summer, and I'm very nervous about the process of boarding and exiting the ship. I've read up on it as much as I can, but for some reason, navigating the boarding and customs, etc., has me freaked out. What kind of information can you share to put my mind at ease?
Relax.
Yeah,
This is the
exactly.
easy part.
Yeah. I think the thing is that, people are, I want to have the right paperwork and I want to do the right thing and I want to make sure I get on. First of all, there's a lot of information ahead of time that you'll receive that tells you what you need and what to do. And the other thing, too, is there's a lot of information at the port. So it's not like you just get there and all of a sudden, how do I find the door to the ship? There's people ushering you in and welcoming you.
And if you
helping
didn't fill
through
out
the
any of your
process.
paperwork, you can fill it out there. Don't put your paperwork in your suitcase that you're going to give to the porter to put on the ship
Or your ID.
or your
passports.
ID. You need a passport and an ID, or passport is your ID. Keep that stuff with you. And if you can board a plane, it's no more difficult than boarding a plane. It's just not.
There's people guiding you along the way. There is one area where it's different. So if you're sailing out of Vancouver, which Chris, I keep calling you Chris, which Craig just experienced as well, it's very different. So you are actually clearing customs in the cruise terminal.
Yeah.
So that adds an extra layer. And while I would say don't be stressed about it, it's not scary. It's not. And again, there's people navigating you through the entire process. It takes a little bit more time. If you are sailing out of Vancouver, allow a little bit of extra time. Know that it gets a little crazy, hectic. We've said this before. Embarkation days are crazy.
Yeah.
It's
exhausting.
It's busy. You're trying to figure out where you should be. There's lots of people. You're getting through security. You're kind of getting the work of the cruise. That's kind of the first work thing you have to do, and then the second work thing you have to do is when you do the muster drill.
Yep.
Where you have to be inconvenienced for that, and then it's just fun.
Yeah.
Then
But-
vacation starts.
Yeah.
You can't let security, especially at Port Canaveral, that's the first thing you do. As soon as you get out, you go straight to security. And sometimes you look at those lines and you're like, I just want my vacation to start. And it's a little bit daunting, and it is stressful. But after that, it is just smooth sailing. And whether it's Disney, Royal Caribbean, any cruise line I've ever been on, after you get through that first security part, you can't walk 10 feet without seeing another person who works for the terminal and is more than happy to guide you along your way and answer any questions.
I will say that when you go in, the terminals are lovely. The terminals are joyful and cheery. And when you get off, you go from being on a beautiful ship into a warehouse. There is nothing glamorous about it. Get your luggage. You walk through customs. They say, did you bring any fruit? Did you bring any of this? They stamp your passport, and you get on your transportation to go home. There is nothing glamorous about disembarkation.
Yeah, and if you're worried about the process on the way out, I refuse. The first time, since I think the first time I've cruised that I've put my bags out to be taken the night before was this past one. I never put my bags out the night before. I always carry them off, and it is so it can be. You're hauling a lot of bags at some points, but
Not only
It's-
that.
I think for a family that's tough.
Right.
Because
Yeah,
that's
it
a
is.
lot of juggling to
But
do.
I also have to say, most people won't think of this. If you're pulling your luggage off, understand that whatever size ship you're on, everybody's getting off. You're all getting off the ship at the same time. So elevators become scarce and crowded. So if you've got a handful of bags to pull with you, you're going to stand at that elevator bank and wait for quite a while. A lot of people are going up to the buffet to eat before they leave, and a lot of people are leaving. So I understand what you're saying, and if it's just John and I, and we've packed lightly, we've done it.
yeah.
However, I've also thought to myself, just take it.
Yeah, on a 3 or 4 night, that's what I'm saying. On a 7 night with the full family, absolutely not. But if you're all going on with small, mostly just carry-on luggage for a quick cruise, for me, that's just what I do. It takes, when you get down to the final portion and you see all those bags sitting out there, even though they're organized very well and they should be easy to find, for me, and the part of my life I'm at, I just like having my stuff with me, and I can just wave at all those bags and walk right to customs and get out and on my way.
So I'm going to tell you something else now. When you book a concierge suite, you get off first. You have someone who walks you down, kisses you on each cheek before you leave.
Bypasses
You bypass that big line of people. So, again, there's perks to booking that.
and you had binoculars.
And for those of you who didn't book the concierge suite, one tip I always give my people who ask is when you get off the ship and you're coming down into this warehouse that Kevin described where all the luggage is, there's always porters there. Yeah. You'll see them. They've got their carts. I always enlist one of them, and I always say it's the best, depending on how many bags I have. $10 to $20 I'm usually tipping them, and depending how far they're going with me after they help me, but I would say on average $20 I give them. They come with me. They ask me what stateroom I was in or what my
She's the
tag
one
was.
they were talking about.
Yep. They asked me what my tag was.
Yep.
They take me right to my luggage. They load my luggage. They know how to navigate those lines. They know how to get me through customs because they want to get back to help the next person.
Don't be cheap. Get that porter.
Yep. And
get 'em
they've
right
actually
away.
helped me right to my car
And put the
if
stuff
I
in your
park it.
car.
Yep. So I always say that's the best money I spend on a cruise is getting that assistance at the end, because whether or not I need the help carrying my bags, they help me navigate
get
that,
out faster.
and it's stress free. All I got to do is be able to keep up with them.
I want to say this too. I think a lot of people get nervous about going through customs when you leave a ship. A couple of things. The U.S. customs process has been streamlined incredibly well. It used to be you filled out a piece of paper if you were a U.S. citizen traveling into and out of a U.S. port. You used to have to fill out a piece of paper, and they would ask you a series of questions and all this stuff. It's pretty much now, no more paper. You go up. It depends on the agent you get. They may ask you a question or two, but for the most part, it's, did you have a nice cruise? Yes. You're
Show
on
them your
way.
passport
Yeah.
and go. Something else you need to consider, and the cruise line should warn you of this over and over and over again. No matter what cruise you get on, you're going to get a key card. That's going to be your ID to get on and off the ship. It's going to be your room key. It's going to be your charging key. Just like any resort you go to now, you get a room key. You have to have that to get off the ship. So just because your cruise is over, don't think you can stick it in your suitcase
Yeah.
or throw it away.
You have to scan out.
You have to scan out. That's how they know you left the ship. Excuse me.
That's right. That's how they keep track of you.
That's how they.
And
keep
it's
track
also
of
how
you.
they keep track if you didn't pay your account and you're trying to leave.
Right.
They put you back.
The man ahead of me, guy.
Yeah, it
got
happens
told to
every
go
single
back.
cruise I'm on. That happens, and I will also tell you: don't put it in your bag, don't put it in your wallet, don't put it in your purse, because all those people behind you are so annoyed that you've got to dig it out.
That's right.
So,
Keep it handy and then just
yep,
scan it and go.
scan it out, and then that's your last job.
I think the biggest piece of advice is just don't freak out about it. Don't
Yeah.
worry about it. Just relax. It's really very easy.
The idea of it is way
Yeah.
scarier than the reality of it.
And it's, I think, more than scary. It's annoying.
It is absolutely.
It's like going to the
It's not
airport.
fun.
It's not
Yeah.
fun. And you're not going to have fun until your muster drill ends.
yeah.
That's when your vacation starts, when they blow all those little whistles and tell you, okay, you're done. Go to the Cass Sail Away party.
Excellent. All right, that'll do it. That's our last question. Thank you guys for helping me with that. Thank you, everybody at home, for listening and watching. We truly appreciate it. We hope you have a great week, and we hope you have a great vacation.